Minute changes to how you apply ink can vary the result of a stenciled image quite a bit, even if you only use 2 inks. Stay tuned to find out how. Hi there everyone, this is Iram Tasneem for Altenew. Welcome to Creative Coloring with Iram. Today's card has lovely colors and lots of texture, and we are doing ink blending today, so I hope you have your ink blending brushes out. It is a super simple card to create, and I did make one mistake which I'm going to point out when I come to that step, but for now let's begin. I will use the Stunning Sakura stamp, stencil and the die set today. So I skipped the initial heat embossing part to save time, but I will go over it. I used Classic Crest Soda White cardstock, 80 pounds, and embossing ink to stamp the image, then embossed it in anti-gold crisp embossing powder. Remember to use anti-static powder before stamping. I will place the Stencil 1 and apply Coral Bliss Crisp Dye Ink to the tips of the petals with my mini blending brush. Now I'm keeping the pressure of my hand normal. It's not too hard and not too light. If you want, you can vary the pressure all over the stencil for variation. But I will show you what I did to add variation among the petals. This is just another way that I'm sharing with you. Apply Rubellite Crisp Dye Ink to the flower centers. And remember that Rubellite is pretty pigmented, so keep a little control on that inking. You can always go back in to make the layers darker later. Now place Stencil 2 and apply Coral Bliss Crisp Dye Ink to the center of the flower. This will instantly change the inking effect since I'm doing the opposite of what I did with Stencil 1. When you are using only 2 ink colors or just one, try to change the way you apply ink through the different stencils and randomize it. And this time I will skip Rubellite altogether. Now placing Stencil 3, I will apply Coral Bliss with a heavier hand than before, so I can get more vibrant layer of inking to see if I like this better. Then I can go back in and make the rest of them darker too. I will apply Rubellite Crisp Dye Ink to the flower centers this time. Again, keeping the pressure a little more than I did with Stencil 1. And here you go. Look at this. I used 2 inks but applied them differently through each stencil layer, and the petals and also the flowers, they look different. Continuing with the inking and placing Stencil 4, I will apply Mocha Crisp Dye Ink, and this time I will use a detailed blending brush. I'm using size 7 and to add a bit of shading to this area. I will also apply Dark Chocolate Crisp Dye Ink. You can also apply Espresso, which is darker than Mocha and is in the same color family, but I want to add a red tone to this to match with the flowers. Plus I also like to mix color families. Through the same Stencil 4, just moving it and aligning it with the leaves, I will use Olive Crisp Dye Ink for the leaves. And again, to add shading, I'm using Moss. You don't have to use 2 inks, but they do make a lot of difference. The deep color adds dimension. So after all the inking is done, I die cut the stenciled image, and I also used the 3D embossing folder from Land to Sea using a panel of Classic Crest Soda White cardstock, which is 80 pounds. Before embossing, just lightly mist the panel with water so it doesn't crack. I'm going to rotate this panel so the embossed portion is on the top. I will then use a large blending brush and apply Lagoon Crisp Dye Ink. Heavier on the top, as in darker on the top and lighter on the bottom, creating an ombre panel. Just a couple of tips, since these are waves, you should move along the pattern while inking to get a better and smoother result than mine. You can also lightly ink blend the panel pre-embossing and then add light inking after embossing for the inking effect, so that you do not have to do any heavy inking post-embossing. Once done, I reran the panel with the embossing folder through the die cutting machine to get back any lost embossing. Next, I stamped the sentiment in Obsidian Pigment Ink. Then I added fine black paint splatters, and this was fine till they were few and fine. Then I decided to add more, which was a huge mistake. I will get to this in a bit. Then I will adhere the panel to the card base with ultra sticky tape. This will help straighten it too if it's warped due to embossing and inking. Then I will adhere the image with instant dimension foam tape to the card front. Going back to the splatters, as soon as I added more of them, I realized that they absorbed into the panel, turned grey, and also ran into the grooves of the embossed design. I did not like it at all, but I wasn't going to chuck it, and it definitely wasn't going to create another one. I did, however, wanted to share it with you so you don't do it. I hope you will give this tutorial a try. I hope you liked the ink colors I used. I love using Coral Bliss and Rubellite together. I hope that you will try them together as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!